Hey, I'm back. I've been away for quite a while. I apologize. I have had numerous problems with autistic issues and what do they call it? Executive dysfunction. I've had some gastrointestinal issues, a sleep disorder, and it's been making any sort of dependability problematic. As I mentioned in the short video that I did a few days ago, I haven't been to church in a while, and that's been making me feeling kind of guilty about doing a video or a series of videos about going to church. Um, but I did make it last weekend. And I was out. I was late, but better late than never. Um, so anyway, I want to do a series here, probably 3 videos about going to church. I started off excuse me, allergies. I started off wanting to do a video about why I started off wanting to do a video about take 3. I started off wanting to do a video about going to church and giving some helpful suggestions, some strategies for people who were autistic or ADHD or had other neurodiverse issues on going to church. But as I researched it, it kind of steamrolled. I went down some rabbit holes. I decided I really wanted to build some foundation first, because we live in a society where going to church is not a popular thing. A lot of people don't understand the church, what it is, why we need it. What's the deal with church anyway? So, the first video is basically going to be a teaching video. I'm going to look a little bit in the background of where the concept comes from. And then I'm gonna, in the next video, I'll build on that, and so on. And hopefully we'll get to where I want to eventually go, and hopefully you learn something along the way. So, in the beginning, in the Gospels, Jesus tells Peter, on this rock I shall build my church. And a lot of people focus on what is the rock. But I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on what is the church. That's a really good question, because a lot of people don't understand it, like I said. And church, the word church, is really a church word that's lost most of its meaning in modern society. So let's look into the etymology. The word church comes from, there are derivatives of it in the Celtic and Germanic parts of Europe. In Scotland, it's Kirk. In Dutch, it's Kerk, with an E at the end. And these all derive from around the Middle Ages, early Middle Ages in Greek. They took the Greek and Latin word and translated it into the medieval Greek word kuriakon. Kuriakon means a house of a lord, a lord's house. And in the Christian sense, it was basically the Lord's house. However, if we actually look at the Greek text of the Bible, if we actually go to the manuscripts that we have from the 1st and 2nd century, or even if we go to the Latin texts of the 2nd, 3rd, and so on century, the word there is not kuriakon, it is ecclesia. And this word means, in the original language, those who are called out, the assembly of called out ones, called out from the world to be followers of Christ, in other words. So how did this happen, that they were reading Ecclesiastes and then translating it into German, West German, Old High German, and so forth, and eventually Old English, into kuriakon and its derivatives in Germanic language, kirk, and then eventually church? How did that happen? And I have two theories. One theory is probably the more reasonable. I don't think this was a mistranslation. I don't think it was that at all. I think it was actually two words merging. A lot of times in etymology, two words can have distinctly different meanings, and over time they will merge to become synonyms. And I believe that by the Middle Ages, ecclesia and kuriakon became synonyms. And because ecclesia was a word that was from Koine Greek of the 1st century, it wasn't really what was being used anymore, and kuriakon was replacing it in the Greek language, and that got spread up into Germany, into the Netherlands, into Scandinavia, and then down into Scotland, and down into England, or through the Dutch into England. Either way or both ways. But I think something kind of bad happened at that same time. Not bad as in, as in evil, but unfortunate. Something unfortunate happened at that same time, because I think that the sense of the original word, the sense of being an assembly of people who were called apart and set apart with a purpose, that was lost in translation, as they say. And people more and more associated church with big buildings consecrated by priests. So much so that by the Proto-Reformation in the 13th century or so, the Waldensian sect, they were in the areas of the Alps, northern Italy, southern Germany, eastern France, that general area, what's the word of the place? Switzerland, that general vicinity. They were considered heretical because one of the things that they believed was that a church didn't have to be a consecrated building, that saying prayers in a barn or a field or holding meetings in even a cave was just as official, if you will, just as effective, efficacious as in a big, lofty Gothic cathedral. That the community of the believers was what was important, not the meeting place. So basically, to get to the point, because I know I ramble, churches aren't buildings, and buildings are not churches. We are the church, every one of us, when we gather together. The Bible also calls us a body, and I'll get into that in my next video. But I think that's what's really important when we gather to church. When we gather together, the Bible says that wherever two or more are gathered in His name, there I am in the midst of you. That it's something that Jesus Himself created. So it is something that is a necessary part of being a Christian. And we don't get a choice whether or not we, quote unquote, go to church. We are a part of the church when we accept to follow Christ. Church is, you're automatically a part of that church, a part of the body. I'll go into that deeper in my next video that I do. Why it's important to gather together as a church body, what that's all about, how it helps you, how it helps the others in the congregation, and why I don't need church, or I can just be alone in nature and worship God, as some people say. Why those are insufficient and not even biblical. Anyway, that is all that I wanted to say for this video. I've gone a lot longer than I expected to. So I will see you in the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed this one, and see you soon. Thanks. Take care and God bless.